Randy, church planner. Man, I've taught conferences with Randy along the way. We've taught at different places. But in the arena of self-leadership, he's going to share a story with you. First time Randy shared this in public from a stage. I want you to hear what he has to say. We're going to kind of talk back and forth. Randy, start with us. When did your church start?
Discovery started in 2003 in South Jersey. At its height, we were 3 campuses. Basically around the South Jersey, southern New Jersey. It's not the end of the world, but we could see it from there. And but it was an awesome ride. We basically built it on the principles that we learned here, and then planted other churches, got involved in this conference, teaching the principles.
You've been coaching planners around the country.
For Purpose Driven for Next.
And I'm going to jump to the end of the church story quick and then go back and unpack some. So a couple years ago, what happened?
A couple years ago, in the midst of the success and the energy that we were putting out in 2008, 2006 and through 2007, 2008, my personal life started to really fall apart. Specifically, the marriage fell apart, and we became anything but teammates, became anything but soulmates, became anything but even workmates. 2 different directions. Each had 2 different businesses. She had a very large gymnastics school. I had a very large ministry. The counselor basically told me, when you basically had your affair is with the church, with planning the church. The ministry of the church and the doing of the church became what took up all my emotional energy, and then became an escape.
Yeah, I mean, it can suck you dry emotionally, and you come home and you got nothing left.
Right, and basically we just ended up living 2 different lives, and then separated. And in the midst of that separation, I got involved with someone else, and the long story short is that the dream, the vision, all the work, everything just shattered, and I ended up in an apartment by myself one night with nothing left.
Now that obviously didn't happen overnight. I mean, you don't go from what you were doing to separation to an affair to a divorce and all that stuff. Track back, I don't know, as you look back now, because usually hindsight's 20/20 or better, when were things starting that maybe some adjustments should have been made? What are some of the misses you had along the way? I mean, these guys need to hear it.
One of the first misses was that as a couple, we never were on the same page. That's my fault. That's certainly not her fault. Because we were in 2 different directions, I missed the opportunities to bring her along on my journey, and just allowed it to go in a separate way. So if a church planner ever asked me, I would say the first thing you need to do is make sure that you take time for each other. That was not done, and that was one of the first mistakes. Another mistake was you get caught in kind of a trap, because when you need to talk to someone in the church world, the very people that you talk to are the ones that could screw you, are the ones that, I'm sorry, I'm from Jersey, that means you get fired. It's very much. I was involved, with working with some church planners in different universities with Purpose Driven Next, and even though there was an open door, when my world collapsed, the person I ran to was Ron. I mean, I spoke yesterday. This is the first time I've ever talked. There was a time when the only 2 people that I felt cared were Ron and Teddy. And I took advantage of that. I slept in their poor kid's son's room for a week. But it was the only time in my life that I wanted to die. And I mean, there were just, out of thousands of friends, you end up with 1 or 2. But it was almost that you structure your life that way. There somehow needs to be some kind of a system where when we get to the beginnings of our downfalls, that we can talk to people in a safe environment before we get too far where what we have to say means the end of our ministry. I didn't have that in the beginning. Maybe it was my own walls, maybe it was I felt it was there, but the people that were in my leadership team, I felt like I could not go to them, and I did not have a group of people that I felt I could go to and be that honest.
So, and this is unfair, if one of these guys came to you and said, listen, we're starting a church, we're married, what's something I ought to put in place that can help me wind up not blowing up my life, my marriage, my church, and everything?
I would say the first thing, and that's why I like church assessments that structure, that have in them an interview with both husband and wife. If you're not in this as a team, it's probably one of the few professions that you probably should say, maybe I need to look somewhere else.
So take us, especially being the lead guy.
Being the lead guy, it takes two to tango in church planning. It really does. And even if she's not involved, if she's a professional, she still has to be of like mind and be alongside you in that walk. And if you're not at that stage, I would tell a church planner, take a break and figure out if that's going to happen, or maybe you shouldn't do that.
Y'all hear that? Yes? Guys, I want you to hear this. Randy's unpacking some stuff, and I'm telling you, in a room this size, I don't want to go over the stats that I know a year from now. But if you don't take care of your marriage, you'll lose everything.
And that's probably one of the other things I would say is I got to a point where I thought the church plant and the needs of people and the hurts of people and seeing people come forward every Sunday we had communion on a weekly basis or to come forward and pray, that's more important than my marriage. And maybe, quite honestly, there are times when, and that does take an importance, but what I didn't see is that because I didn't treat my marriage as more important, that I ended up losing the things that I thought were more important because they really weren't. And so the marriage has to be, it's God's ordination, it's the way He set up this whole process that we live, life, that marriage has to be a priority. And the minute we let it not become a priority, then we're on that slide. And that's where I found myself, that as a husband and as a leader, I did not get to that point. I did not make it a priority. And I knew that it was happening because, for instance, we would do a marriage series because that's what you do in the fall or and I would have to pull myself off the teaching. I would let one of my associates teach. And I mean, there's only so many Sundays you can have a sore throat, only so many Sundays, whatever you come up with, you run out of things. And when you find yourself in that position, you're in trouble. And I still didn't go for help. I still didn't ask for help. And as a result, the crash just was even that greater.
Yeah, I mean, I taught with Randy a couple places. We'd hung out together. I wouldn't have known it. We never talked much in that realm. I mean, I'd hear him talk to his wife on the phone some, but this private war's going on in your life, you got nobody to unpack it to. So we'd say to find somebody that's safe, and that's not always easy. You have to test the waters on that because, but find somebody you can be honest with, because, man, if you don't, it's tough. I mean, Randy's at this point, he's embarrassed. It's been 2 years almost, I guess now.
2009.
Guy with incredible skills. There's church plants all over the country doing well because this guy coached them.